Welcome back, everybody. This is Lance Cook, the executive chef of Hammock Dunes Club in Palm Coast, Florida. I'm going to make an entree dish for you. This is a stuffed lamb loin, and it has a farce. And the farce is made up of some of the trimmings and stuff like that. And then the bones that we use from the rack of lamb for the loin, we actually turned it into a sauce. So let's get started. The first component I'm going to do is to actually make a tuile or a cracker. It's a very easy, simple 3-ingredient thing that is very versatile, and you can use it in many different ways. I've used squid ink, I've done herbs, I've done flours, I've done all sorts of different things in it. The main components are only 3 components. So you have butter, you have egg whites, and then you have flour. And they're all equal parts. So it's a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. As far as the butter, it's 20 grams, 20 grams on the egg white, and then 20 grams on the flour. And you'll see on the flour, I've actually added some herbs just for a little bit of color, but it's a very simple thing. So we're gonna get that started. We're gonna get the butter melting on the stove. While that's melting, this is the egg white. We just wanna kind of froth it a little bit. Not much, you don't wanna whisk too much air into it, but you do wanna kind of soften it a little bit. And then we're going to take the flour and the chopped herbs that are in here, and we're just going to combine that with the egg yolk, the egg white. And then you don't want the butter to be too hot, so you can see it just melted. So we're just going to add that slowly into this little batter that we're making. And we'll do it incrementally. And then of course, at the end of it, you can, again, season it up with whatever. For one of the competitions, I actually did a fennel tuile. So I had fennel seeds that I pulverized and put into it. And it kind of made the dish pop a little bit, gave it some extra crunch and height. And then one more increment of butter. And you can see it's almost like a batter, so it's very spreadable. We're going to add a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of black pepper to it. Mix that one last time. And then on a steel pat mat, on a heat pan, we're going to lay it out. We're going to spread it as thin as we can. I like to just do kind of a strip. And then come back and just kind of spread it out a little bit. So that's what it can look like. You can go a little bit heavier if you want to, but essentially you're going to bake this off at a 325-degree oven, only until it's nice and crisp. If you want some brownness to it, just stick it in there for a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to set a timer so I don't forget about it. And then we're going to move on to the lamb loin. So I've made the farce here. So this is the farce. So basically it has shallots, it has herbs. There's some rosemary in there. The portions are about 10 ounces of lean meat, about 5 ounces of heavy cream, about 4 ounces of egg, 1 whole egg essentially, and then about 2 ounces of bread. So that kind of does the binding. I use a Pacojet. So basically you put all those ingredients into a beaker, you freeze it overnight for 24 hours, and then you come back and you pulverize it in the Pacojet. If you don't have a Pacojet, you can do almost the same exact procedure. You just do it in a RoboCoupe, and then you would push it through a tammy, and then the ingredients that are on the bottom that come out of the tammy, you'd season that up and move forward, and then you would end up with this. So we're going to take the lamb loin out of the ice. So again, this is the lamb loin. It had bones, obviously. This is the rack of lamb. We saved the bones. We made the sauce from that. And essentially, this is the loin itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that loin. You can do it a couple different ways. You could do it on the outside so that it has the farce or the mousseline on the outside. You can stuff it through the center if you wanted to. In this case, I'm basically just going to cut that loin right in half. And then what we're going to do is season up a little kosher salt, cracked black pepper, both sides. And then a very similar process that we did with the salmon. We're going to take that farce and we're going to lay down some of it. So this is only about a portion here as far as the size of the lamb. We're going to do one side and then the other side. Kind of squish it together a little bit and then put more of that farce right on top. And then I'm going to change my gloves real quick. And so again, you can use this in many different ways. You can actually do terrines with the farce, bake it off a little bit nice and flat, and then stick it in a blast chiller or freezer, come back and wrap anything with that. And it's very pliable. So we're going to do almost the same thing we did with the salmon. We're just going to press it and then roll it nice and tight. And then we're going to twist the ends. And then we're going to do the same thing again that we did with the salmon as far as the butcher's twine is concerned. So 2 equal portions of the butcher's twine. And come right underneath, tie an overhand knot. And for those of you who do in competitions, I mean, this is definitely something you can use in the competition arena. Depending on the timing of the actual competition, you could have time to sous vide it. An hour is a little tough as far as if you have to get your prep done for it. But for like Chef of the Year competition where it's an hour and a half, you know, you have that time that you could do something like this for sure. And again, this is only one portion. So the one that I'm about to take out of the water, out of the sous vide, is going to be probably 2 portions. If not, you could get 3 probably out of it. And if you wanted some added durability to it, before we closed it up, you could actually hit it with TG, transglutaminase, just to kind of make it a little more heftier as far as the binding is concerned. So again, if you had TG on this right before you rolled it, you'd have to let it set in the fridge for anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. That's the timer for the cracker going off. So we're going to grab that. So you can see the cracker is starting to get a little brown. It has some undone pieces on this end here. So we're going to leave it in for a couple more minutes. We'll do 3 minutes. And again, you would sous vide this after it comes out of the fridge for 3 to 4 hours. If you had the TG on there, you would sous vide it at your desired temp, 135, 136 in that region, until you're ready for it. Again, the size about 1 hour and 15, 1 hour and 25 minutes. I'm going to get a fresh cutting board and sanitize the table real quick, and then we'll start plate up. So here I just have some mashed potatoes, creamed potatoes, pomme de terre, You can essentially, if you want to make a quenelle, you can make a quenelle. But you really need something for that cracker to kind of stick in, give it some height, and kind of offset the plate a little bit. So that's what we're going to use. And then we also have some white asparagus. So I cut them a little bit shorter than I typically would for dinner service. So I want to have it a little bit more refined. I peeled the white asparagus, same thing with the tops of broccolini, cut them a little bit short, and then the baby carrots, just kind of cut them at an angle. So we're going to do a little bit of kosher salt on that, some black pepper, and then we'll do a little bit of olive oil, and we'll get those heating up as well. And then this is the sauce we made from the lamb. So the lamb bones were roasted. We considered some tomato paste. We roasted some vegetables and reduced it down. So we'll give that a little heat real quick. Meanwhile, it looks like our cracker is done. So again, you can do this into a template. I'm just going to kind of break it off into nice pieces. We have our mashed potatoes. We have our vegetables heating up. We're going to take this lamb out of the cryovac and out of the sous vide. So this is our lamb loin that has the farce. We're going to cut it directly in half. And then we're going to sear it. So we have a pan back here. And you can see the lamb's nice and medium rare to medium. We're going to give it a quick sear. Our sauce is nice and hot. And we're going to wait on those vegetables to get nice and toasty in the oven. So our vegetables are nice and hot. And while the lamb finishes its nice sear, we're going to do a quenelle or two. Let's turn that up a little bit. And then we're going to break this cracker into little shards. We'll start laying around some of this nice seasonal vegetables. And now we'll slice this. We'll get 2 pieces out of this. And you want to make sure that you're not overcooking it, because obviously the lamb has just 2 little medallions on one on each side. So you can see it's nice and red. So we're gonna let that rest there just for a second. While that rests, we're going to finish saucing. So this is that lamb jus that we had. And we'll give it one last wipe. And there it is. And that's it.